Hey everyone, it's Tony Flapp, T-Man Speaks across social media. It's day 3 for me at IBM Think, day 4 for some others, and still getting some great information from sessions that I've been attending. A common theme throughout the event is enablement, is business-driven enablement. Lines of business, how are you going to impact that? Looking at solutions through artificial intelligence, blockchain, multi-cloud, how can that manage it? With providing things that give security, that give bulletproof design, that enable organizations to truly gain a value out of what they're doing. Certainly look forward to more. One thing that I would finish off with, we've had a intermittent rain and everything else, first time being in the Bay Area, but I think it's kind of comparable to technology in general and this area of change that we're in. Things change. You have to change with them. You have to move with them, and that's where you'll succeed. Looking forward to sharing more. Take care. Thanks. Hey everyone, it's me and Christopher Penn here, sitting at Think 2019. My 3rd day, your 4th day.
Yep.
It's been quite the event. We're just getting a little time in on a Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's all. So, Christopher, what has been some really great takeaways that you've gotten from the event?
So, the big one is a lot of work being done on reducing bias in AI. There is the Fairness 360 open source toolkit that IBM released. Anyone can use it. It's a bunch of Python scripts. So look at your data set and say, there's bias here. Like you think that this is a fair data set, but it's not. There's a problem here, which I think is really great. In fact, they made it open source is even better so that everybody can use it. Inside their new open scale product, there's perturbation testing in the machine learning model itself to say, this model is behaving in a way that is biased. Would you like to correct for it? What are the guardrails? So one of the big things that's a problem is if you were to ingest all this data, like about customers, for example.
Yep.
And you were to say, okay, you know, we're not gonna use gender as a basis for comparison. But you have people's Facebook likes, the music and the books they read.
Yeah.
Guess what? You can infer your gender with 99% accuracy, right? But when you use something like OpenScale, where you say this is a protected class, whatever you come up with must be 50-50 gender balanced, and even if the model puts together those inferred variables, it is still pulling them back into line and saying, nope, still has to be 50-50. Do whatever you need to do to get insights, but the outcome must be unbiased. So which I like that a lot for 2 reasons. One, because you can always predict what the model's going to do.
Right.
And 2, you don't have to take the model offline to fix it.
Right, and you don't ingest any personal bias that you're not even aware of.
There's still some can creep in. You have to be explicit about what are protected classes, but overall, it's leaps and bounds over kind of what people just kind of do in the Wild Wild West version. Like, I made a model. Cool, what's in it? All right. That's not helpful. How about you?
Well, I think for myself, there's certainly been some great news around multi-cloud and what multi-cloud offers, right? And the whole open source and control, governance control across VMs, all configurable with a nice GUI interface. I think that another thing that we saw through the tour that we did of the whole event is really the ease and control that you can take to digest data from different sources all through one console.
What's interesting about the virtualization stuff, though, is that I've been taking the perspective you don't necessarily have to move the data. So like ICP for data pulls the data out and streams it, but you don't have to remove the data, so you no longer have a compliance issue. Like, hey, this data can't leave. For example, this data cannot leave our data center. So ICP can extract just the necessary pieces and leave the rest there, and now you're still in compliance, which, to your point, is exactly right. Governance is critical.
Absolutely. Another big takeaway, too, is the whole fact that there's a lot of good focus on business-driven decisions. Mm-hmm. Like organizations that are pushing the envelope with technology to make change. Mm-hmm. And the change is paying off in huge ways. And we hear a lot from this conference about the 2080, right? Mm-hmm. We see this, we know this, we're both close to cloud, right? You know, there's been this whole 20% that's migrated to the public cloud, and you know, there's been a lot of talk that it's going to be more. But when we look at that next migration, private cloud, controlled cloud, you know, there's certainly some tools available that enable that. And having a console, first ever multi-cloud manager, is huge. It's huge. So, you know, looking at that and some of the announcements around multi-cloud and AI tools, what have been some of the big hits and sticks that you've seen there?
You know, OpenScale, I really like this about the machine learning models. To your point, the business KPIs are what's important. There's a lot of data science KPIs like, hey, what's the AOC or the ROC of this model? But your CMO is going to say, I don't care what those numbers are. Am I making more money?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You can put your business KPIs into OpenCloud and say, model, this is your target. You want 95% customer retention, or you want $5 million in sales, and it's going to keep optimizing the model with those protections in place to say, okay, we're 74% towards the model, towards the goal now, 82% towards the goal now. We finally hit it. We found a combination of data and models that gets us to, you're going to make the money you want so that you get the bonus you want and you get to keep your job.
There you go. Well, hey everyone, it's been a great chatting with Christopher Penn here. We're looking at carrying on and closing out the event, and we'll certainly be sharing more. Have a great Valentine's Day, everyone. Bye. Hey everyone, I'm sitting here with Craig Mullins.
Hi everybody.
How you doing, Craig?
Doing great. Enjoying the IBM Think conference. How about yourself, Tony?
Doing great too. And you're all things data. I'm going to hand the phone over to you and tell us what you're getting out of the Think event on data.
Okay, will do, Tony. I think one of the things, I've been working with data my whole career, and I think AI is going to be the driving thing to really get people to take data seriously, and by that I mean data strategy. There was a presentation that I sat through here where they were talking about how AI is going to transform everything, and then they put up a slide that said only 12% of organizations actually had a data strategy. Well, if you don't have a data strategy, you don't get the data right, you don't know what type of data that you have, then how are you ever going to be able to put machine learning and AI on top of that data and get anything out of it that actually is going to help you? You're not. I've been preaching that we need to know what our data is for years, and I think maybe AI might be the thing that drives people to really do that correctly.
Awesome. So on that note, what have you found from the conference that's really enabling that? That's, maybe some new things that you've taken from the event that really help to drive that awareness?
Well, sure. I think that there is a understanding that data and analytics are driving things forward, and that IBM has a ton of offerings that can help people do that. One of the things which probably isn't a highlight of the conference for anybody, but was one of the products that I think is intriguing, is the data catalog. And we've called that multiple things over the course of years. Data dictionary back in the 80s, repository in the 90s. Now we call it a data catalog. No matter what you call it, it's still imperative that it's there to document what data you have and what that data can be used for. IBM is offering technology that it allows us to do that, and that kind of stuff can then help us drive in and do some of the empowering things that people are talking about with AI, where they're getting insights and doing things differently than they ever have before.
Awesome. And for everyone, all the viewers, how do they get a hold of you online?
MullinsConsulting.com, Craig at CraigSMullins.com. Either one of those will get to me.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much. Looking for more of the event. Take care. Bye now. We see it happening. All right. Hey, everyone. It's Tony here, and I'm sitting with Ryan Boyles with IBM. Ryan works in the IoT space, and we are here at Think 2019, and we're catching some great, things that are ongoing at the event. And I wanted to get from Ryan, what he's taken from the event, or things that IBM is working on from an IoT perspective. Over to you, Ryan.
Yeah, thank you for having me. So the most exciting thing for me occurred yesterday. We had our Trends and Directions keynote. We also had an announcement in the morning, but really we brought it to life here at Think because we had the CEO of Mitsufuji share his story, and it's really fascinating because he is it's a family company, right, in Japan.
Yep.
His grandfather, I believe, founded it. He is now the CEO. He's a very young gentleman, but he is smart. He has transformed what was his family's textile business into a digital company where they are now creating wearable devices. So clothing, garments that you wear under your work clothes. And so the use case that IBM is working on with Mitsufuji is around worker safety.
Right.
So all of the IoT data that's collected in the field with sensors, whether it's on an oil rig or at an airport, or all the places that are, what people think of as the natural things that we need to connect. It also includes your employees. And this is a huge play for worker safety.
Right, for sure. No, that's a great perspective, because certainly that's just taking it right to the person working down the line.
Right.
And if they're noticing certain attributes that are going to lead to any kind of problem safety-wise, it's just going to be an overall more safe environment. And certainly we see, I know from a human resource perspective, more and more regulatory on safety.
Yes.
So anything you can do to enable that certainly is going to be an advantage. So, you touched a bit on the news. So some big news that's happened at the event that, is a good takeaway for viewers out there.
Well, the one thing, a nice segue to that is that announcement really isn't even just that one company. Like everything we do with IoT is with our clients. Our clients are our partners in these endeavors, because oftentimes they're the experts in that domain, in that industry domain, and they are creating a product that they need help with part of the implementation. So to your point, security is a big deal here. So when you talk about an Internet of Things platform, security is paramount. Yes, it needs to collect and manage data. Yes, it needs to enable your developers to use APIs for AI, like the Watson APIs.
Right.
But security is paramount.
So this just made me think of something on the fly here. Looking at all that, one thing I've taken, and certainly is, coming from the IBM cloud side, looking at working with organizations from, cloud and familiar with cloud, a big it's certainly something that's been shared a lot in the event is Multicloud and Multicloud Manager, right?
Yep.
So from an IoT perspective, what are some ways or things that are being done in order to ingest that better across platforms?
That's a good question. So I have two sort of general thoughts there. Our platform is really cloud agnostic, I guess, in the sense that we do host that platform as most of the IoT solutions that we offer for your building, your facilities management, or your asset management. All of those products are SaaS-based products now.
Right.
But in terms of the edge computing or the devices, we really don't care. That part, we have interfaces to bring in data from any other environment. One of the other really interesting announcements that Watson made this week was that they're going to allow you to run Watson on any cloud. So it doesn't have to be IBM cloud, which I think is a game changer. So yes, our cloud is best in class, and we touched on security, and you can manage containers and Kubernetes and all those things.
Right.
But we know that that's not, you don't just flip a switch to change clouds in a day. It's a process, and your company probably is going to have to live with multiple clouds if you've been doing this a while.
Absolutely. Some more great points to take, and some more great things to come, and we'll certainly look forward to sharing them. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thank you, Tony.
Take care. Well, hey everyone, Tony here, and I'm sitting with Michael Fisher. Michael Fisher's active across social media, and we're sitting here at Think 2019, and his day job, he's active with infrastructure, supporting cybersecurity, all those different things to control your environment and governance and all that good detail. And we're both part of this conveying this message for the event and coming out to promote it, and love to get your perspective from being on the floor, sitting through sessions, right? What are a couple things that kind of stick out to you as, this is great, or this is a good direction for organizations, or this is something that's going to provide a better, more secure solution? Something in that capacity that you've gleaned from the event.
Sure. So one thing that I thought was really good about the event is that it allows people to get more engaged with the cybersecurity aspect of things. they're actively trying to get people educated and to help with just overall architecture of how to perform the cybersecurity in general.
Exactly. And you and I were just talking about this because, I've got a background working in telecommunications, and cybersecurity is one of the areas that I've worked in, and it is true. It's the awareness that it's everybody's responsibility. And it wasn't that long ago that I had chatted with a professor on this, and in technology, and his impact, or one of the things he left for people, is it's not just about knowing how to open up a Word document and putting in the information to understand technology. It's to understand what's happening when you're logging on that application.
Yeah.
What's going to happen, and what potential things could happen from emails, or what potential things could happen when you're outside of the office, and just having an overall more safe practice, right, to really drive it. Because I know myself, and you see this, right? It's staggering on the statistics.
Absolutely.
On cybersecurity.
Absolutely, and the cyber resilience part of things is another thing that they've been trying to talk about in a lot of aspects. It's been really good because it's preparing you on how to deal with a situation when it happens. Not so much about okay, this is what you got to do to prevent it from happening. Because let's face it, it's just going to happen.
Or it already is happening.
Yep, absolutely.
And you don't know it. Yeah. Because I know I've seen that too from a lot of research that comes back, right? It's not a matter of if, it is already happening in most organizations, or have, right?
Yeah.
Or has. And it's certainly something to be aware of. And, certainly when you look at that public cloud adoption and that 20% in app development, I know from my perspective of organizations, it's great to develop applications. It's great to get those. Those are the highest vulnerable point of security.
Absolutely, in the public cloud. You can't take away that, and raising this kind of education is only going to help get more people involved and get more, hopefully we'll get to the point where, it's something that people can manage.
Absolutely.
After the fact, get the business up and running again. It's always unfortunate, and always bad sentiment talking about it. It's always negative. But I'm optimistic to see that happen in the near future, hopefully.
Hopefully, for sure. All right. Well, Michael, I appreciate the time today. This has been a great chat. We certainly look forward to sharing more information, and stay tuned for more. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, Tony here, and I'm sitting with Dan Yarmoluk with Asset Scan. And Dan and I are sitting at the Think 2019. We're here covering the event from a social media perspective, and Dan's background is and involvement is from the IoT perspective. And so, Dan, I wanted to turn it over to you. What are a couple things, some big hit issues or items that you've taken from the event so far?
Yeah, I think for me, the self-service solutions in the cloud to enable us small and medium-sized enterprises to be able to experiment that don't have gigantic IT budgets was a real takeaway. Making it easier with they even embed AI to kind of design chatbots and work with the IoT platform and transfer to this world of AI. So they're making it easier and building blocks together. That's what seems to be the tangible difference from last year, which is exciting.
Awesome. That's great news. So from your organization, Asset Scan, what do you do in the market, and how can you find your organization?
You can find Asset Scan as a brand of ATech. You can find us online. You can find me on Twitter and LinkedIn, Dan Yarmoluk. We do condition monitoring, predictive analytics in the industrial rotating equipment, pumps, fans, and motor space. So it's predictive analytics, but we have 100,000 data points per second, and we're integrating in things like Max.
Nice, that's very cool. So from a predictive analytics perspective, what are your customers looking for? Do you guide them more in that direction? Do they have an understanding of what they want to do? Because I know machine learning's driving more capability there, right? And obviously you being in that space, what's some things that are really clicking for customers?
Well, it's complex, right? I mean, they can get continuous monitoring, but it has to be as accurate as, say, a $50,000 diagnostic. But more importantly, we got to know the workflow. So if we can make it so it's actionable at the end, integrating it to a thing like Maximo, and that is what's resonating with customers, because we can't give them another dashboard. We have to think of their whole problem holistically and help them solve it. So it's all these little pieces, Tony, that when we add them up, they become meaningful, but separately they're not.
Awesome. Well, hey, Dan, this has been great. Thanks so much. Look forward to carrying on, and certainly we'll be covering more.
Shout out to my Canucks.
There you go, Canucks, right here. Later.